Welcome to the Clack Shack, and I want to do a quick video tonight to bring everybody up to speed on some changes that I've made to my interchangeable jig kit. And I've kind of improved it, and it's not going to cost you any more because I went back and revised the download. So stick around for just a minute, we'll get into that. A problem that I had, of course, I broke one of my teeth off mine, so it was a good opportunity to make me another one, and I used this new thicker material that I have. But one of the problems that I found is I was cutting some leather the other day, and this piece on the older version was substantially longer, and the teeth on the interchanger panel here would get in the way of the shield on the laser if you came all the way back and went across. That is if you're using the jig in conjunction with my holders that hold the honeycomb in place. And what the honeycomb holders give you that margin of error to keep you from running off your honeycomb or engraving on the nice black painted parts. But the old interchanger jig was just a little bit long up here on the top, and it was getting in the way if you was cutting something really thin, or if you were just framing with nothing up there just for whatever reason. So I put the file back in and did some modifications to it, and I took about an inch off of it and pulled the holes down that the legs go in, which in essence slid everything back. And as you can see here on my machine, I'm gonna move the camera and get you a little closer. As you can see with the machine, now you can push the gantry all the way to the back, and I've got the shield right above the honeycomb, and it will not hit the teeth on the interchanger plate. Now, with that said, you don't have to have the honeycomb spacers in order to use this one. You can swap it out if you've already got my original one, and let's say you break it or decide you want to build another one, or you're like me and it was bothering you that you lost a ½ inch of your bed because the cover was hitting it. You can go ahead and re-download the files and get this new one out and go ahead and install it. One thing too that I was having a little bit of an issue with was the other one. When it came down this far, it was kind of catching my cable here just a little bit in this corner. And so by moving this edge here back a little bit, it's gotten a lot more room, and it doesn't catch as bad. So that was another thing. One thing that I will show you, another one of my little designs. Now also, when you put the jig panels on, it'll actually allow you to accommodate a larger jig panel because you've regained about a ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch of your bed space here. So technically my 4-inch square jig, if I had a big enough piece of material, I could do 9 instead of just the 6 that I normally do. But at some point the burn time is just going to get a little ridiculous if you start adding too many. And for those of y'all that have never seen my jig kit, a good opportunity to show you what it does. It basically makes sure that these jigs are in the exact same spot every single time you put them on here. The little fingers lock into these boards and hold them to the legs, and so that doesn't let anything move. And so as long as your machine is zeroed every time, all the way over, all the way back, and you start from there, everything should be the same. The only thing that I will say is, because I do not have the new RA2 rotary, I haven't built a jig for it. There's my squaring jig. That jig is basically made to, if you're laying something in here that is square, it'll make sure, just like kind of like if you were doing a picture frame, you can take this picture frame and you can put it up against those two edges, and now that picture frame is square. No more stretching the rulers. You can do it over here too if you want. If it's a wider piece, you could do it here. And you can pretty much modify this and cut it however you want. If you wanted to put a ruler on there, I mean, whatever you want to do. These files can be edited, so you can do what you want to them. The other jig that I have, of course, this is just a little small jig that I made to do pencils with and to do some little medallions with. And I left some space on here that I can go back if I want and jig out some other stuff over here if I need to. And you can cut these panels and just leave them blank. That way, if you get something in like a pocket knife and you need to make a real quick jig, you've already got the panel. You just lay out your shape, create your jig, do the cut, turn that cut into a tool line, and boom, you're gold. And of course, let's don't forget the rotary jig. This is for the original rotary. That's what I use, and so rotary sits in here like so. But anyway, just to let you guys know, if you have already downloaded it, you might want to go back and look at re-downloading the file. Alright guys, well that pretty much wraps it up for tonight. I got through working on that. I wanted to share that with you. Like I said, if you've already downloaded, if you've already purchased the kit, you should be able to go back into your downloads and re-download that file. And the new file that is in there on my interchangeable jig kit, the new file, you'll notice that it is named differently. I believe I named it version 2. And so when you go in there, yes, it's going to be the zip file is going to be called Interchangeable Jig Xtool version 2. And I did that so that if you've already got the other one in there, it won't create a conflict. But if you download this version 2, it is going to contain a 12-inch stock file for those of you that can't get your hands on 16 by 16s. It has what I've referred to as my compact version, and that is a really cut down version that is for those really tight enclosures where you have zero room to work with. It's got like crescent, almost half circle holes to hold the legs. That way it gets everything inside the frame of the Xtool. You'll see one in there called the honeycomb holder version, which is this one. And you'll see the original, which is going to be this guy. And that's the original one that I built. As well, of course, there's the large jig board, medium jig board, the rotary jig for the original rotary, and the square end jig board. And then, like I said, if you want my circles or my squares, those are separate. They're not included in the interchangeable boards. So, but anyway, I appreciate you, and hope this helps out for some of you guys, and I appreciate y'all purchasing the file. It gives me a little compensation for the time it takes to develop this stuff. And if you've got some success stories about using the jig, please drop me a comment. Let me know what you think down there. One thing that I will add, and I noticed it on mine when I put it on there, I built this thing to where it is really tight tolerances. So if you burn one of these and it's a little too tight for your liking, because I wanted this one to be able to slide just a little, not enough to move, but just to be able to slide up and down just a little. If that's the case, then just get you a piece of coarse sandpaper and roll it up into a little stick here, and basically you just sand it like that, and that'll give it just enough material to let this thing slide up and down easily without moving. The old jig, with it laying flat like it did, I wanted it to be really tight, and I don't want to go back and change that, because if I do it this way and you want it looser, you can sand it for 5 minutes and make it work. If I make these holes bigger, if there's somebody that wants it to be really tight, then they're not going to be able to add material to that. So I'm going to stick with the diameter of the holes that I have now. But I did notice with this thicker board, mine was a little tight, so I had to take some sandpaper and just kind of sand it lightly, and now it slides up and down freely, but it doesn't move, it doesn't wiggle, and so that's what I wanted. But like I said, drop a comment if you've used the jigs and you like them, and also if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, and thanks for coming. See ya.